Okay, you do the
Okay.
intro though.
So
I do it.
you don't actually go live on YouTube?
No, sadly no.
No, hell no. But
You upload it later.
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
we
We,
upload it. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I think the lot for to be live on YouTube, you have to for one like I think 1 month, or there's something that you need, or a few things, huh?
You
I
don't need
know.
shit.
I think you don't need shit. Yeah. Okay, we're Tawfeek is
Yeah.
breaking the biggest rule of the Ramadan episodes. There's no swearing. But no, I don't like. I the only thing I checked is how to get paid for some reason, and you need like at least 500 subscribers and to at least have like over 10,000 views a month or something like that. Like, so we're not meeting any of the requirements, obviously. So don't worry.
Yet.
Yet, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
We
eventually.
yeah, we still haven't activated call Indians and Pakistanis, you know?
Yeah,
By the way, that option can be tracked now, so they can figure out that you're
yeah.
basically cheating.
Well,
Yeah,
Tawfeek is already having the headset of the call center, so
yeah,
This is a gaming headset. The fuck are you talking about?
yeah. Well, man, it sounds like I'm pretty sure the Indians have good gear nowadays. Do you guys know about that?
Of course they
good,
do.
Yeah,
good what?
They
good
need to
gear.
make sure. They need to make sure that they embezzle you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like, why did you redeem it?
Oh my God, I love those videos. It's
What
because
videos?
you don't know these videos. There's
You
this
don't know
video.
these videos, man?
Oh,
Haram
too
عليك.
bad we can't pull up the videos to show you. I'll probably
We'll do it with
eventually
post.
one day. But basically, these techie guys, they have like they make their voices sound like an old woman for some reason. It has to be an old woman, and they would buy gift cards because that's how like the scammers would tell them, oh, like buy these gift cards, give you the code, and then they would redeem the code for themselves. And there's this Indian guy who's like, don't redeem it, don't redeem it. And the problem is you don't know. I don't know which one to feel bad for. Like I kind of feel bad for the Indian, but also like he's scamming people. So I'm like, he probably deserved it. But yeah,
Okay, Omar, start.
this is probably not going to be cut. But anyways, finally we have a guest. People, welcome to the podcast. We have Tawfeek this week. Actually, one of the comedians who's been performing with Abed in English. Actually,
Well,
yeah.
Omar,
Yes.
I've been performing with him, but yeah.
Okay, well, sorry. So actually, I wanted to ask Tawfeek, is it like your first time in doing English stand up?
No,
Like,
I've done it before.
where?
Yeah.
Like, not in Jordan or other
In
places?
Jordan.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
English stand up did exist before, yeah.
It did exist, yes. It doesn't have like a high uh, number of people that are willing to watch it or listen to it, etc., etc. But I believe that, with time, people in Jordan associate the English language with being cool.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to like come to these shows more often because they believe that it's cool. So, because they're saying it in English.
yeah. That
Okay.
was like the same in Russia because of the exotic part, you know. But I don't know how the mentality will change from Jordan to Russia. For example, in Russia, we were performing with like a very well-known like comedian, and after the show, I was like telling the audience like, "Thank you for coming on all of this," and they all told me, "Weren't you have more foreigners?" And I was like, "Mother flubbers, this guy has like tickets for $100 or $200, and we got you to watch him for $30 or $40, you know?"
Like around seven. If it
Uh-huh.
was, yeah, I think around $7 or something like that.
No, I'm talking about the shows with
Oh,
Delia
oh,
Chibatkov. Yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I was like, what? This is what you're complaining about? Do you
Yeah,
think the same? Yeah.
there's always this fact of like, where are the foreigners? Even now, now that I have to pick comedians for the store, I always think I need a foreigner. Even though some of the foreigners, I'm like, yeah, but should I get more funny people or more foreigners? And in the end, I'm like, I have to put the foreigners on, or people are gonna like shit on me. Like,
I like how Omar put it. Should I get foreigners or actual funny people? You know?
well, you know what I mean, Abid. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah. Yeah, it's a,
Yeah.
sometimes you take the extra mile, you get somebody from outside, and they flop in the show because in comedy relativity is very important. So if the audience does not feel related to the comedian that is performing, they're not gonna have a good time.
Wow,
Oh, wow.
that's super
Well,
wide. Wow.
to be honest, in super wide. In Russia, I noticed something. It's not even about jokes. It's about presenting like something that Russians have, and I can't say this is a good thing or a bad thing, is that uh, the idea of something that's exotic, you know. So if I bring an American who doesn't know anything about comedy, and he just tells a story about living in Russia, they would enjoy, and they would be like, "Oh, that was a great comedian," and that's when I
Yeah.
bash my head on a wall,
Yeah.
going, "That wasn't the comedian."
They're just in shock. They're like an American who's not a transgender. That's doesn't happen, you know. I don't know. It's they also Russians. We always talk about this on the podcast. Me and we they love the cultural stuff. So if you say in Russia it's like this, but in my country it's like this, you're gonna be like a superstar. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I was on a vacation in Antalya in Turkey, and the resort that I was staying at was filled with Russians.
mm,
And I remember one night, me and my brother were playing Arabian backgammon,
uh-huh.
and we started like gathering an audience, and they're all like watching. It was like, what is this game? And this old guy, I think he was 71. He came up to me and told me, "Can you teach me this game?" I'm like, "Hey, I can teach you. Come have a seat." And I spent the next 2 weeks playing backgammon with Russians every night.
Oh,
It
you
was it was really good. Yeah, it was
you
really
won?
fun. Hmm?
You won them? You beat them or no?
Yeah, of course I did.
Ah, okay,
Uh,
well,
this is a good like Arabic Jordanian mentality. Like I have to win. You know,
yeah, no.
destroy
No,
them.
it's not about I have to win or not. It's just backgammon, specifically backgammon. If you have more experience, you understand how to trap your enemy, your opponent, more and more.
Oh,
And
you're
Ah,
gonna.
funny thing is, during that time as well, there was like an airsoft thing, their airsoft guns, and
oh
we
yeah,
went
yeah.
in the morning, me and my brother, and we were shooting the guns along with with 9 other guys, and this old lady walks up, picks up the weapon, shoots at the target, hits all the bullseyes, and just walks away. And I look at her like I'm so confused, and I ask the guy next to me, and like, who is she? He looks at me and he says, "She's XKGB." And I'm like, "Okay,
Ah,
okay."
it's like the Turkish guy in the Olympics, the one with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
beard, like
She was trying to find him.
Motherfucker had his hand in his pocket. He didn't give a shit.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh, it was so cool. I to this day nobody knows who the fuck this is, guy. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I, I always see like who was that guy, but yeah,
I
actually
If
love
this
the.
there was
Olympics.
if there was a definition of the word aura, I would put that guy as a definition.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah. No, like this Olympics was kind of crazy. Like I remember, like I don't even watch Olympics, but I there's like three popular stories. The Turkish guy, the French pole vaulter who got his penis stuck in the one of the thingies,
yeah.
and oh, you didn't see that one, Tawfeek.
I didn't see that one. No.
Well, there's like rumors that he did it on purpose to promote his OnlyFans or something like that. I don't know. And there was
See,
also
oh my God. If I was in the Olympic committee, I would not allow any single Olympian who had an OnlyFans to participate.
Man,
why?
Why?
Uh-huh.
Why, man? I think OnlyFans is like the next plague.
it's
Honestly,
already going, man.
yeah, yeah. It's a plague, and it should be stopped immediately. It's just,
I'm gonna guess he don't donate to college funds for little girls.
of course, I don't,
Okay.
Of course not.
Okay. Well,
Besides, porn is free on the internet, so you don't really need to pay for it.
this I agree with. Yeah, this
Yeah.
I
Like
agree
here's the
with.
thing. Like we talked about this Sophie before. It's like they're good at something, so they monetize it properly. So I think
No, I disagree with you. I
well,
just I disagree with you. If you, oh, this is gonna sound weird, but if you look at the porn done by the people on the Pornhub or anything. And the OnlyFans people, the Pornhub one is way better.
Yeah,
Like
because it has
better,
production. The
better
OnlyFans
budget.
has a ring light and a phone.
Yeah, but it's just like a girl showing her tits. There's no
But
storyline.
but he
You really watch porn for the story?
No,
uh,
of
yeah,
course I watch them. I need a happy ending in my porn video. I can't without.
Omar is the type who watches just he just wants to know how to fix the dishwasher. That's all
Yeah,
he wants.
like
Where's the
we don't
tutorial?
have. My mom comes in. We don't have a dishwasher. I'm like, what if we finally get one? But yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But
I
mhm.
like this Paul Walton. Like, yeah, I think I remember like when his penis got in the way, so to speak.
Yeah. It did get like so. Like he was trying to basically to explain it to you. He was trying to jump over the pole vault thingy, and like literally you can see the his penis grabbing the bar and taking it down with him. And that was like a big story. I
Is it
think
sentient?
not like it didn't grow arms and like grab it with, but like
Jesus, man.
kind of maybe it is. You don't know what those OnlyFans people are doing.
Yeah, that's true.
If they test for drugs with this guy, they're gonna find a lot of Viagra.
Well, this guy, this guy is not doing steroids because his penis did not shrink or balls or whatever. Just
Yeah,
steroids.
he's still functioning.
Yeah, and
What about
there's also the last one who was like the boxer. I think she was Italian boxer who was like,
oh,
oh,
you mean the
transgender.
Algerian and the Italian?
Yeah. She's transgender
Algerian
or
or
something.
Moroccan. Oh yeah,
And
yeah. Well, it's not that she's transgender. For them, she looked transgender, although that was her normal look. And I remember, like, for the committee, I think it was the Algerian committee or Moroccan or whatever, like to fight those allegations that she's transgender. They were like, "Hey, look at her, she's in a dress."
yeah.
I was like, "Yes, that's the best way to fight those allegations."
The one I heard was like, how can she be transgender? If she was actually transgender, they would kill her. Like, if she's a really good boxer, maybe they wouldn't kill her straight away. Like,
She did have more testosterone than
Testosterone, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, she does have more testosterone in her system.
She, she
That's the only
with that French guy
comment I came up with.
with the French guy, they probably swapped steroids or drugs, probably.
yeah,
Because
Oh man, it's insane, honestly. Like our world is just getting worse and worse. And it's not getting better anytime soon. It's just
yeah,
really bothering me at this point.
yeah, and it's so ripe for comedy.
It's extremely ripe for comedy, man, but unfortunately, comedy has reached the point where uh, people are overly sensitive these days, and when people are overly sensitive, comedy is the first. It's the first thing that takes
Yeah,
a like an uppercut, because in comedy we make fun of things,
yeah,
and I got into an argument the other day with somebody where we were talking about how you can't really talk about the LGBT community in your stand up because that's punching down. And I look at him and I'm like, no, it's no longer punching down, not anymore. And he's like, why? What do you mean? I told him that LGBT community right now is one of the strongest communities in the world. So, in comedy, punching down is that you never punch down on somebody that is um, lesser. Let's
yeah, yes,
to say the least, like lesser than you. Like if they have like a mental issue, if they have a physical issue, you're not supposed to make jokes about it. But with the LGBT community, it's completely different now because they are the most powerful community in the world right now.
well,
Like
they're the most powerful on Twitter or X, whatever it's called.
yeah, but like take a look at media and how media is presenting DEI, which is digital
Yeah,
inclusion,
hmm
digital.
digital.
I have no idea what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have no idea what it is. All I know that it's making movies, series, and video games really
Gay.
getting. It's no, it's not about gay. Like one of my favorite franchises for video games is called Dragon Age. I don't know if you guys ever
Oh
heard of it.
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, I love Dragon Age, and I really like what I really like about Dragon Age is its story. So when I played the new one, I was wondering why I had to go through a 15-minute dialogue with a companion
Cash.
that's
Cash.
explaining to me why she's non-binary and why that matters to her and why should I pay attention that she's non-binary. And I'm like, I shouldn't really be paying attention to why you're non-binary or not. All I should care about is can you kill?
And Omar, just if you, I don't know if Omar, if you ever played Dragon Age. So in Dragon Age, it's
uh-huh.
evil. What that's one thing. So when she said this thing about the binary, it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, yeah,
And
Exactly, exactly. And
yeah,
there's another thing in a game called Avowed, which people
yeah,
said it's going to be the next Skyrim, and you get forced into a 3-minute cutscene about where a character is explaining to you why you shouldn't misidentify genders. It's
uh,
like I don't want this shit in my video
and,
games, man. I want to kill dragons.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you know what messed me up? Like that
Mhm.
character, I think Tash, right? Her name was Tash.
Yeah, Tash.
Yeah. In the previous games, in the previous Dragon Age, the race that she's supposed to portray is
Yeah,
like,
Kunari.
uh, yeah, the Canary. It's like amazing. Even the textures, like imagine this in the beginning 2000s, they were like polygons. They were just
Uh-huh.
like, triangles, but they look freaking scary. How they talk and
Yeah,
everything. In this
Kunari
one,
and
yeah,
Kunari and Dragon Age 2 were fucking badass,
yes,
Mhm.
and they deteriorated in the next two games. Like in Dragon Age Inquisition, they made them look more human, which I was
yeah,
completely against because
mhm,
the Kunari and Dragon Age 2 were peak. And
yeah.
in Veilguard, we're not going to talk about Veilguard, man.
But there's one spot which I really like. So it also in Dragon Age you can like have sex with everything, you know.
Nice.
And in the Veilguard, you this interaction was so watered down. And when you want to have sex with this Stash, I love that she comes to the protagonist and she goes wow, and I was like, okay, here's where I stop. If I did this to my ex-girlfriend, she would kick me in the nuts.
Yeah.
You know?
It
Yeah,
is weird.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. It is very weird, and like when you compare it to like different fantasy games, like medieval games, like let's talk about Baldur's Gate for example.
Oh my
Baldur's
God.
Gate, yeah,
Oh yeah.
Baldur's Gate set an example to how RPG games should be, and Veilguard just fucks it up.
I love the thought that they're like almost not even a year apart. They're like a few months apart, right?
2 years
The two,
apart. They're 2 years
2 years
apart.
apart. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
in what was I gonna say? Like in Baldur's Gate, that game, I don't know how the hell they did it, but they set an example which is so messed up. It's like imagine you're doing comedy, and the first comedian, he's famous, he destroys the room, and then you're after him.
Uh,
Like, what
yeah.
the and you're coming on stage with new jokes. What the hell am I gonna do with this shit?
Yeah, yeah,
That's like the same thing. The difference is in the build-up. It was like even like right now, what Tawfeek's saying is like how the games are now going is like they're so surface. There's nothing in them.
Yeah,
Like,
there's no depth anymore. Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
this
Hmm.
person is evil.
It's like
And even
this.
But
yeah,
actually, sometimes I like it when the this person is evil and like this is so, I don't like when the evil
his whole
person has like
identity.
good
Yeah,
has a good like where you can relate to the evil
yeah,
person.
you don't want to relate to him. But the thing is that now they have like this person is evil and he has to have like this emotional thing, and that emotional thing is so surface,
Like
you
yeah, my
know.
daughter died.
Not even like that. His sheep died. You're
Uh,
like, what the? Okay, and that's it. He wants to destroy the world because his sheep that he
Wait,
used
wait,
to
wait,
fuck
wait,
before.
wait. No, 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 wait, wait. You can't use sheep as an example because sheep is the reason why everything bad happened to King Odysseus in the Odyssey.
That's which the
Now,
Assassin's Creed
now,
game,
now
right?
Tawfeek, you're advanced. You're telling us
Okay,
stories.
okay. So the Odyssey is a book, is a poem. It's a
Ah,
poem written by a Greek philosopher back in the day, and
back in the.
he writes about King Odysseus, which was the king of Ithaca. It's a Greek island, and he writes about how after the Trojan War, him and his crew were heading back to Ithaca from Troy,
Mm-hmm.
and they had no supplies. So they came upon an island that had a lot of sheep in a cave, and one of the crew members just killed the sheep and wanted to butcher it. But the sheep was actually owned by a cyclops.
Okay.
So they had to fight the cyclops, in which they blinded the cyclops. And once they did that, they didn't know that cyclops, like the race the cyclops is, are sons of Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea and horses.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Poseidon just goes berserk on his crew. He kills everyone just because of that fucking sheep.
Nice.
Well, well, some people at the moment, they don't have anything else but sheep, so maybe the sheep.
I'm surprised, like a lot of Muslims are alive after Eid every year. But yeah, well, we manage.
Well,
Yeah,
we're
we
kind of
try our
we're
best.
yeah, we're away from the sea a little bit. Plus, Poseidon won't go into our sea. One, in Jordan, it's Dead Sea. It's too salty for him. There's no way for him to live in it. Two,
Exactly.
if he sees the garbage that's down there, he's gonna
Oh,
go.
I was also about to say like,
And people in Aqaba are too fucking stubborn to drown. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Tawfiq, how did you
yeah.
start like comedy? How did that like?
How
Great
did
segue,
I?
right?
Hmm?
Great segue. Yes.
Yeah, great segue. How did I start comedy? I started comedy in 2009, in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah. I was approached by somebody that I did a Ramadan show with in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
and they told me that we're offering like free stand-up comedy courses for anybody who's interested. And I was like, yeah, why not? I'll sign up to it. I'm funny sometimes. And I took the course, and then I started writing for a late night show. It was the first late night show in Jordan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I wrote for it. I wrote some jokes. I wrote some sketches for it, and then COVID.
Mm-hmm.
COVID came around and closed up everything, so I couldn't perform on stage until 2021,
Mm-hmm.
2022, I think 2022. 2022 is when I started to actually perform on stage. I started with my first improv team.
Hmm.
It was going well until I had a couple of mix-ups in my personal life, so I couldn't really pay attention to comedy anymore. But up until 2 years ago, I was able to get back into comedy, do some open mic nights. I met Abed, and we started doing more and more. We remade the improv team and started doing improv again. Started
Mm-hmm.
writing comedy more in English better than Arabic, because I am much more comfortable in English as
Oh,
performance and performing in English. Also, in the comedy club that I am part of, sent me to Second City, which is the number one comedy school in Chicago.
mm.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, it's the comedy school that Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Jim Carrey, all
Yeah.
these amazing comedians, they all studied there. So there's actually there's actually depth to writing comedy, whether it's for stand up, whether it's for if you're writing for sketches, if you're doing a
Just,
stage performance, if you're doing uh, even if you're doing improv, there are rules that you need to
yeah.
stick to. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
right now,
Uh-huh.
between the shows that me and Abed and the rest of the team are doing, I also teach improv to elementary school kids.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Now here's
pretty.
my question.
Mm.
What's like the best piece of advice, or like the best thing you were taught in the Chicago comedy school that you went to?
Best thing I was taught in Chicago, I would say my teacher was fantastic. She is a goddess in improv. Like, I've never seen anybody. be so quick in improvising things. Yeah. I think the best thing that she taught us that day was always try to be relatable to your audience.
Hmm.
That is the best thing you can do. Because if the audience feels related to you, they will like you more, which means they'll come to watch you more, which means that you can give them more,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get you'll get more laughs in your shows. So I I for instance don't really like having lots of friends in the audience, because it's gonna turn up to be an inside jokes between me and my
Yeah,
friends.
yeah,
Yeah. But no, it shouldn't be like that. It should be you catering to the largest number of people that are there to watch you.
yeah,
Also, one of the very valuable things that she told me is that improv is not a one man show. If you're the funniest person in your group, that means your group is not okay, and you
yeah,
need to work
Oh.
together. That it means that you need to work together, and because most of the improv jokes and most of the improv games that you can play on stage require you to have a teammate and somebody you need to build chemistry with, so that they can understand what you're talking about, and um, they can
Mm-hmm.
help you deliver your jokes better.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I did like improv, because like I was in a, you could say, kind of an improv course in Russia. Improv in English was started by Dina Mile. She's now like she's now in LA, and she's now like kind of, she's growing bigger and bigger in fame in improv there. She even got like her green card through improv
Hmm.
in the US. Yeah. Um, and one of the things that I learned from there, like after 6 months, one of the most important part for me, which helped me in stand up, was it's like the first phrase you say or the first gesture, whatever, should explain who you are, where you are, and what you are doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that helped me so much in for stand up, for writing stand up, for example, to just like those details have to be there so that the audience lives with you in the bubble you're creating. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. That's also very important in improv, because you've got 3 seconds to tell the audience who you are, where you are, what you're doing, and
yes,
if
yeah,
they don't get that, if they don't understand that, they're not going to have a good time, because they're
yes.
going to be confused as to what the hell are you talking about. I don't understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your partner will be just lost, and they will be on a spaceship while you're in Jordan in a in a coffee shop.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the
Yeah.
only thing I don't like about improv, or I didn't like about improv, when I didn't do improv, I would assume both of you studied improv, you somewhat did it,
Yeah,
performed improv shows. Like with Abed, we will always play improv games after the shows. And the only thing I hate about it is sometimes I'm building to a joke, and then the other person doesn't catch on to it, so now it's ruined. And now I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah. One of the best ways to work on that, Omar, is building chemistry with your team, understanding who your team member is. Like, for example, the first time I did improv with Abed, we instantly clicked.
yeah.
hmm,
Oh
You
man,
know,
you
I've never done improv with Abed ever before, and I was shocked by how well we rode off each other.
yeah.
hmm,
You cannot imagine
Yeah.
the first like two games we did with Joe Hindi and Ahmed Taha, like on the first show, when you
uh-huh,
guys didn't know, the guys didn't know what like the games, and I was so just mind blown by Tawfeek and the others when they caught quickly what the game is. I was like,
hmm.
amazing, this is exactly what we want. And then we did like a full improv show, and man, like hats off. I was totally not expecting it in Jordan, to be honest. To be
Uh,
honest.
what weren't you expecting? Like the
Um,
improv to work?
like not that improv to work. Like there's something improv uh, can work almost all the time. Of course, not all the time, but the idea is that someone catches on exactly, because in improv, like you have an idea in your head and you
Mm-hmm.
want to pass on that idea to your partner, but in the easiest way possible, so that you're not going to pass the full thing, but so that it's easier for them to ride the wave with it. And I
Mm-hmm.
was so happy when Tawfeek kind of me and Tawfeek just blended. I was like, oh, thank Allah, great.
Yeah, yeah.
We were not blocking each other.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
were, we were not only yes anding, we were kind of like anding the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like for me, this is
Yes,
the most
yes, yeah.
part.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Tawfiq, I
So
remember.
when you
Yeah, sorry. Continue,
go ahead,
continue.
go ahead. No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
No. Continue. Give
Yeah.
one more sentence.
Omar,
Yeah.
when you're building an improv team, when you practice with each other, you should be practicing more on especially for like whoever's doing the training and whoever's going to be moderating the show. So in our team, it's either going to be me or Abed. We always choose people that we know are charismatic with each other, like their chemistry works with each other. Because if you choose somebody from freaking Neptune and somebody from Venus, they're not going to do well together on
Yeah,
stage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
The
uh,
thing is, when we were doing the improv shows, we what we did is we weren't like we didn't have a team or anything. It was just the comedians who did the open mic. We're all brought together,
yeah,
and
so
then
it's like literally just on the spot, Tawfiq, like literally. Plus, a lot of the comedians, they were, you could say some of them were new performers, some of them were experienced, but it's something very interesting in Russia.
hmm
In Russia, Tawfiq, when a stand-up comedy in Russia at the moment, you have the professional comedians, yeah, and you have the what I could say like open mic comedians,
Yeah.
and you can not only see the difference between them. One of the most major differences is the open mic comedians, or let's say mid-level or low-level comedians. They all seem like they're reading from a script.
hmm
some are reading from a script.
Yeah,
Like some are actually, yeah, which is
like they cannot get out of this script. Not even get out. Let's say they cannot react to anything outside of it. They're so in the character slash role that they cannot get out of it. Like there's a game we played which I really loved how. So remember, Tawfiq, we were doing a game, and I was asking like how dark are we going, and like Joe was like, oh, I like, hey, I'm here. I was like, no man, you're not dark. Why I said that? Because the guy here, Omar, is one of the darkest comedians you could see, and I'm not really not talking about skin color.
yeah, okay.
Like his opening joke, it's either gonna destroy the room or it's gonna just kill the vibe.
Yeah,
Mostly kill the vibe.
there's no in between.
Yeah. Literally, there's no in between. you know. So there's a game we play, which is what was the game? Almost the advice.
Like it's like good, bad, and worst advice.
Yeah,
And
explain it.
yeah, so it was basically a person would tell us his problem is like I can't get it up or something, yeah, and then we would have to give him good, bad, and even worse advice. And I would always ask Abed to put me as the good advice, because in my head I would give them bad advice, like oh you can't get it up, try your mom, or I don't know, something weird, and then and then the other two should top it in my head. And I remember doing it one time where I said something and the comedian next to me goes, "No, no, you're supposed to be good advice." And I'm like, "No, no, no. That's the point. Like my advice is supposed to be shit because like I don't think any of the people asking for advice are gonna be like, "Oh, that's good. Like actually let me try it because who cares, about our advice." But
That's for sure.
yeah, so
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
and and one other thing about it, so like they have that script, yeah, and they cannot. Like for example, when we say that you're the bad advice, they actually think that they okay, I have bad advice. What bad advice do I have? They don't think outside this frame, and that's sometimes like kind of it's not because of course it's experience slash practice, but it's kind of like the idea that they don't get out from it.
also I think it's also the Russian mentality a bit because the Russians they like to stick to the script.
Yeah,
Like I'm supposed to do this. It's somewhat like Germans or whatever. I don't know. I didn't talk to people,
yeah,
but they have like you have this, you have to do this, and then they do it basically. So yeah,
and
which is
Yeah,
it's yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tawfeek.
Um, I agree because especially in improv, like I said, one of the things that I try to teach the kids is work with each other, don't work against each other. Don't try to show me that you're funnier. I don't care if you're funnier. I want you guys, I want all of you to be funny together because that's how you do it correctly. If you're funny
Yeah,
together, if you're funny together, you're gonna get the audience's attention. But if one of you is funny, if like you're the only person that's funny there, then go do stand up. Don't sign up for improv class. Don't get into improv. You know?
Actually, uh-huh. No,
Yeah.
continue. I'm sorry. Yeah.
If you think that you're going to be, if you join a comedy team and you already think like, oh, I'm going to be I am the funniest between them, and your ego is going to get in the way of you being a really good improv comedian, and your ego is going to get in the way of you being a good member of a comedy team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, my question is because I've never done improv with an actual team, but what's like the good amount of members for good? Is there like
you
a
can
good
have
amount?
you can have like up to 8 members. That's fine. You can have up to 10 members. But
Okay.
and then it comes down to the moderators, the two moderators. They choose who's going to be on stage. Sometimes it backfires on you because you say that you're not going to be performing with us, and they're going to be like, they're going to take it personally. It's like, why am I not funny? It's like, and actually, yeah, you do need some work. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I told you to sit this one out.
yeah,
I wouldn't
Nice.
have told you to sit this one out if you were, you know, participating well, paying attention to what your teammates are doing, um, being present, and also very important thing in specifically in improv comedy, you need to be well read.
yeah,
Hmm.
It is so important for you to be well read when you're doing improv comedy. You need to understand the people you're performing to. So if I perform to Jordanians, I know how I'm going to make Jordanians laugh. If I perform to Egyptians, I know how I'm going to make Egyptians laugh. If I perform to Germans, I'm not going to perform to Germans because there's no way you're going to make them laugh. You
Yeah, yeah.
need to, you know, but it's always you being well read, understanding trends, everything that's happening around in the world. Like one of the jokes I said is one of the games that we play on stage is called Sex with Me. And
Yeah.
they gave us music as a subject to talk about. And one of the jokes I said is Sex with Me is like Beyonce, I don't deserve it. And this was coming out like 3 days after the Grammys.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and Beyonce won Grammy for Best Country Album.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in retrospect, and everybody online believes that Beyonce doesn't deserve this.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if the audience was not watching the Grammys, that wouldn't have been funny for them. But
Mm-hmm.
since the audience that was there, I knew for a fact that they watched the Grammys because they were all like Gen Z.
Yeah.
They laughed at the joke.
Mm.
Get it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is
yeah,
actually one of the things I have a problem with is I can't read the room. I remember one comedian like I did like it was like a super pro LGBT room, and the people told us I was still like I was new to comedy, and the host told us no LGBT jokes. So obviously I was like I want to do LGBT jokes, and I was doing something about God. I think that God likes gay people or something like that, and as a bit of like a way to get into the joke, I go like, "Do you guys like God or something?" And nobody clapped. And then like I did the joke, and the comedian next to me goes after me goes, "Oh, like this guy Omar can't read the room. Like I see a room full of people with blue hair. I obviously start thinking, definitely no father in the house." And I was like, it pointed out the fact that I can't read the room, and it's still I still have a problem with it. Like obviously now what I do is if I misread the room, I was like, okay, I lost you here, and then I go back. I tell them that I lost them, which is something I only did once ever.
By the
Yeah.
way, you can completely skip that part. If there's awkward silence and if you do feel like you've lost the audience, make a joke out of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
Yes.
like immediately make a joke out of it. You can say that, uh, like, what do I know? My father wasn't around as well, so I'm just like them, you know.
hmm
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
again, the part of this modern age cannot handle jokes. It's true.
And you know what's so funny? Like in Russia, they have this thing. So in Russia, they take something and then they um, I don't want to use that word. They abuse it, let's say. They just like abuse the whole thing. Like for example, shisha. Yeah. The moment that the trend of shisha starts, it would sweep the whole country. The moment, like let's say Crocs, whatever it is, it will sweep the whole thing. And they take it to the extreme. Like even like this LGBT, whatever it is, yeah. In Russia, some people would take it to the nth degree. They would get offended for it. It's like, where are you going with this? To the point where they don't understand the beginning of a joke. You know, they
Yeah,
would just oh, and now I have to defend. Like, mother flubber, you're in Russia. What are you defending, Believe?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember we had like one time a comedian. He was doing a joke about blackface or
Yes.
something, and then like a white girl was saying, "Oh, you're racist," blah 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 blah. Thing is, next to her was like this African girl. She was laughing. The girls went out the room and started crying. And then, like after the guy finished performing, the host brought her back in or something like that. But
But this happened to my friend, fellow comedian Kirill Voronin. He was hosting a show, and he's making a joke, and he does a race joke. One girl saying was so offended she was shouting at him. The thing is, there were a bunch, and I'm not like talking one or two, like maybe seven from South Africa who were in the front, and they all turned around to her and told her that was funny. You know, don't get
exactly,
offended for us. Shut
exactly,
up.
exactly. You don't need to be a warrior for these people. These people have been through enough. You
yeah,
don't need to be a warrior for them.
Yeah,
So
they're studying in Russia. Believe me, they're going through a lot. You know? But yeah, so and there's something else, Tawfiq, I wanted to ask you. Like you, if I'm not mistaken, you opened for Bassem Youssef.
Mhm.
oh shit,
Yeah,
wow.
how did that come about? I'm very interested in the idea there.
Yeah, Bassem wanted to have a an English stand-up night
In Jordan.
in Jordan. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
uh-huh.
and they told me like, would you like to perform with Bassem Youssef? Would you like to be an opening act for Bassem? I was like, of course I would like to be an opening act for Bassem. Are you insane? That would be an honor. And I wrote down my material. I went to that night. It was a private night. It was in somewhere in Sofia Village,
hmm
Abed. It was in Sofia Village, and it was really good. It was really fun. I do like Basim more in Arabic than English. That's because I really like the Egyptian dialect in comedy.
Yeah,
The Egyptian dialect is made for comedy. Like
yes,
in Arabic comedy, if you want to perform in Arabic comedy, you've got to be Egyptian, Lebanese, or Saudi. These three dialects are so good with comedy.
hmm
They help you when you perform. It's not the same for like Jordanian or Palestinian or Syrian or Iraqi dialects. They are heavy
yeah.
dialects, and we have phrases that not everybody can understand.
So when you guys perform, well, I think I know Abid doesn't, but when you perform Tafi, do you put on a different dialect or you just go by
No,
yourself?
I do it in the dialect that I'm comfortable with, which is like the Jordanian, which is the Levant dialect, basically.
Uh-huh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's more of like wanting to you what you're more comfortable with, what have you been doing all these years. That's the major selling factor of how you want to um do your comedy show. Yeah, like,
Mm,
yes, I would love to have like the Egyptian dialect in my shows, but then again, it's not something easy that you can do.
yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Plus, like if you wanna put it on, Like it would become, it should be a part of your act, of your persona. I think the audience should be convinced that like you have this Egyptian dialect thing, or else
Yeah,
it will
yeah.
just assume that you're like they will understand you're not only understand, they will know you're faking it. And if
Hmm.
it's not in part of it, you will. I think this is like something that will be lost between you and the audience. You know, like it's like
Basically, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
when you watch like the only guy who I've seen who does it, like when you watch, let's say, Western comedians when they do the African accent, you know,
yeah.
or a ghetto like from the Black America accent, you know, the
Hmm.
gangster accent. You can see like they're faking it. Yeah, this is like like
No, just like how
they
you
think
called it, gangster accent.
yeah,
Accent.
yeah, well, yeah, because
What happened?
there is like yeah, and you have the one person who I noticed who does it in such a good way. His name is Omid Jalili. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Man, I have never seen someone who like yeah, everybody understands this is not his accent, but it's so integrated in the joke and in how he delivers it that you think like the idea is that there's no race in it. They nobody gets in their head this is racist, you know. And in
yeah.
Russia, there's something that's so interesting for me in Russia. I wish I had like I could show you this because I saw this so many times. You
Hmm.
have Russian comedians when they perform in English, they try to fake a Russian accent, and it's Russian comedians,
Mm.
and it comes out so bad. Like at least for me, I just disconnect from them. You know, I was like, why are you using the like this heavy Russian accent? Oh, I can't even do the accent. If I make it, I sound like an Indian faking a Pakistani faking a Russian accent. That's the I'm so bad at it. You know, how do you do a Russian accent, Omar?
I can't do accents at all, man. You
Yeah,
know me. I'm just I stick to my. For me about like with the accents thingy, it's if it helps the joke, then yeah. But if you're using the accent as just a part of your persona, then it's like fake, which is like it you lose it a bit. In my that's my opinion, I guess. But
Hmm.
actually, I had another question for you, Tawfeek, because you said when you were opening for Basim Youssef, what you did is you had to send in your material. Like, was there stuff you couldn't joke about, or like?
When you're doing a private show in Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
it's different because you can joke about what the host has allowed you to joke about or not.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as long as the host is okay with it, you're fine.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
But for example, and this is something very funny that happened during Basim's show. We received like a paper of things that Basim is not allowed to talk about, and Basim just grabbed that piece of paper and talked about everything on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
just
and
a list full of Egyptian presidents' names, basically. That's
yeah,
that was.
yeah, yeah. He was mentioned. Like you can't talk about this particular person. Yeah, he
Ah.
wasn't mentioned, and I find that you really need to stick to the rules sometimes because you want to respect these people that have asked you to come perform for them.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even though in the Jordanian people all they talk about is sex, religion, and politics, it's better for you to go up on stage and not talk about sex, religion, and politics because
Mm-hmm.
people are going to be like, "Oh, how could you talk about that? It's not, you know."
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
I'd, I'd save myself the whole drama following that.
Yeah. It's the hypocrisy of certain people.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
are there jokes that you wanted to do but didn't do just because you're in Jordan?
Oh, I have a lot of jokes I want to do, but I don't do because I am in Jordan.
Ah, what's is that like usually one topic or the different stuff? Yeah.
I
It's
think it's
more
the
of
usual.
it's more of different stuff that I would love to talk about, but I don't really do
Uh-huh.
because again, it's safer for me to just stick to what the host has asked me to talk about. Um, Respect the host, respect the people that are here to watch me talk about what they know I will be talking about. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, driving in Jordan is horrible, and and that's relatable. Everybody knows driving in Jordan is horrible. so they want to hear your point of view. But if I want to talk about like how the uh, prime minister is not doing his job,
Ah.
people will not take that well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
And I love how they take it personally.
they do. Yeah, they do take
Well,
it personally.
actually, my question is for you, Abed, because I know back when you were in Russia, you were a bit heavy
Yeah.
in politics, even though you weren't supposed to. You in English, you were like, I don't give a fuck, nobody's listening to me.
No,
Now, in
I even did them in Russian, and so I was
ah
performing at the store, and yeah, and
ah
I think I was the opening act, and yeah, and I did like there's a joke, and I did it like a whole thing, a whole bit just politics, and
uh-huh
after thank God people laughed, and there
yeah
was
yeah
one joke they were like, you know when they're like, hey, hey, and they just look at you and see, oh, he's still on stage, okay, now we can laugh more,
yeah 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 yeah
you know. And after the joke, I got off stage. Thank God, like on a big laugh. So I get off stage, and the host comes after me. Like, sorry, like he like I get off stage. The host comes on stage and says, like Ahmed, what did he say? Like, tell him like he was great because he's now on his way to the airport. You know, to get deported or like some shit like
yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah,
that. And the next show, I do the same thing. He comes to me and he tells me, like, lower down the politics. And I was like, of course I will. And I sort of on. He looked at me, he just smiled. He was like, well, I shouldn't have told him that. So I get on stage and I redo the whole politics jokes.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think he set a trap for me. The idea is that he knew that I will go against it. So he goes on stage and he does more politics, piggybacking on my joke,
Ah, nice.
you know? And he just continues and goes, hey, you laughed at his, so you're gonna definitely laugh at mine. So it's
Yeah, yeah,
Abbott's fault if you guys laugh, basically. I was like,
yeah,
mother
basically.
flubber. Yeah. But Omar, what
Yeah.
you said is like if so what you're saying if I can say like the same jokes here.
No, no. I know you like talking about politics, and obviously, I know that you might have something, let's say, discussing Jordan's politics, because I know
Yeah.
you like to talk about that. So, would you be able to talk about the politics in Jordan or no?
Well, again,
In
one
a
thing
bad
here.
way, obviously. Obviously, you can talk about it in a good way if nobody's gonna stop you.
Well, the thing here is I'll give you an example. I like, for example, Valentin Sidorov. Like he's a known comedian in Russia.
Yeah.
When he talks about politics, he kind of hides it. Like he has one joke where he goes, "When I went to the U.S., I saw it's like we have like, what do they have that we don't have? We have Wi-Fi, we have
Mm-hmm.
like not Starbucks, we have something, and then we also have elections."
Mm-hmm.
In Russia, because it's well known. I don't know, Tawfeek, if you know this. A few years ago, the president of Russia he won the vote by 130
110.
135%.
Oh, 35. Sorry. Yeah.
When they counted, there were 35% more people who voted for him than nobody knows why, whatever. So he goes like, we have elections. So like, I like that thought is that if you can hide it,
Mm-hmm.
he himself says it's like this is kind of a challenge to hide. But there's something, for example, for a show when we did stand up with Tawfiq a few weeks back. Um, I have a joke about airplanes and all that, and the final joke there, it's a very dark joke, like very, very, very dark joke. And I remember when I was telling the joke in my head, I was like, "Oh, I have to change it."
Mm-hmm.
So I had to change it to kind of like change something in it, and it didn't get like a good laugh. I was so pissed off at myself after it that I should have stuck to the dark joke and just said fuck it. But at the same time, I knew like maybe it's an assumption, and like Omar knows, I like to say this, like assumption is the mother of all fuck ups.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to like because basically also I was the first comedian. I didn't want to alienate them at all.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's fine as long as like they laughed through the whole set. I'm fine with not one joke. Oh, actually, it was three jokes I had to change. It was fun, but it was so much fun, Omar, because it's the time when you're telling it and then you realize, oh, I cannot say this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's
I
another.
never happened to me, but
At all.
no.
There's another one, Kofi, about drinking, you know,
Mm.
and I had to change it because the punchline there is about drinking on Jordan and drinking on in another country for a Jordanian. I was like, okay, I have to stop myself there instantly. And thank God, I remember how I was saved. I don't know if you remember, someone walked in front of me and I
Mm-hmm.
reacted to them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then I was like, oh, where was I? I was so happy that you or someone said something. I was like, yes, yes, that's where I was because thank God, I'm not going to tell that joke.
Yeah.
You know? But it
Also,
is fun.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
In Jordan, you can't talk about religion. Yeah, at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like there are a lot of like let's say the main ones is religion and like the let's say the ruling like the ruling party slash ruling party, the government. Let's say like if you want to say a joke, just try to like hide it, imply it, and people will laugh at it. People will understand it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Got you. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, there's something I want to ask you both. Me and Omar talked about this before, but I also like want to see Tawfiq's point of view about it. A lot of people, a lot of comedians, they have this thought of the character from the beginning of their comedy. I would say, if I could say career, they have like this thing about the character. What do you think about this? The idea is that I have to stick to a character and not get out from it.
It's a successful formula.
yeah. Mm.
It is a successful formula because you've seen me do stand up twice,
Yeah,
and you know me in reality. But when
yes,
I do stand up, I sound a lot more pissed off than I usually am,
yeah,
and because I've heard it from a lot of people is that when I get to a certain point of anger, I become very sarcastic,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and I tap that sarcasm energy when I'm performing on stage because um angry sarcasm is my selling point according to a lot of people.
Actually,
mm,
with a lot, I would say with a lot of Arabs, like the angry Arab is funny. You know, it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah, it is,
yeah,
it is, it is, it
unless
is.
you're in an airport, but yeah, like
It depends on the airport.
the good
like
ones.
in Jordan, they'll be like, "Be angry. We understand. Be angry and take it easy. You just arrived. We get it." There's something I want to ask you. How do you tap into that anger before getting on stage?
Oh,
Is
I
there is
remember
there
things that
something?
piss me off.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
I just
I would be like, did something piss me the fuck off today? Yes? Okay, I'll use that.
yeah,
Mm.
it's kind of like what Abed used to. Well, I don't know how Abed's doing comedy now, but back in Russia, he'll be like, this lady didn't want to sell me Oreos, and he would just go and just complain about him being Arab and the lady not wanting to sell him Oreos or something like that. And it was always funny because he's angry, but angry at something so stupid that you couldn't help but laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Abed's one of his biggest advices. He would always tell it to comedians like, "Man, be more angry on stage. Be more angry on stage."
It's not like I
Yeah,
sorry for interrupting you. It's not
yeah,
there's something also again, but this is from my experience in
yeah.
Russia watching Russia. None of the when they like for me also stand up is complaints. You're basically complaining about everything, even if you're happy about it. You're
True,
basically
true.
complaining. They're not angry complaints. They're just mild complaints. And I just told them, I really want to see you one day just get on stage. As you said, Tofi, like the second, I really was it and just let it go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, no, yeah. But basically, we always it's something I can still to this day. I don't. I can never be angry on stage. I don't know why. I don't think it fits the shit I talk about at all. Yeah,
Yeah, what can you be angry about, Omar, or not angry about?
nothing. I'm just a happy guy on stage. I don't
Yeah,
know.
very happy, believe. You know
Yeah.
what? I'm gonna send like a 5 minute if Tawfiq, if you let me and Tawfiq is okay with like, do you have like a lot of aspirin and Panadol?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, and the
Uh,
gun. I'm gonna send you like 5 minutes from his bit and listen and watch, and you will be like, oh, now I get what Abed is saying.
Fair enough.
About like when you do like improv or stand up, do you record yourself? Do you like video, audio? Like basically, how do you edit yourself? Let's say.
Okay, so I am very self aware
Uh-huh.
when I'm on stage, and I watch people. I look at their reactions. I
Hmm.
pay extra attention to that, specifically when I'm on stage, because at that point I know that I said something funny. I said something that they liked. And other points I know for a fact that this joke was not good. I'm gonna either work on it and try it again, like in 3 months, for example,
Yeah.
or completely scrap it and never look back at it.
Hmm.
And Abed, I don't know if you realize this about the last time, the show we did in English, I
Yes.
started talking about people in HR.
Yes.
Hmm.
Okay. And I was trying something about people in HR.
Yeah.
And since I didn't get any kind of reaction on from the people on stage, I immediately just, threw it behind me
Yeah.
and use one of my jokes that I know that it's gonna be funny. So it's more of how critical. If you want, you can record yourself on and like look at your footage, because when I look at my footage of like the footage that you send us, Abed, the
Yeah.
first thing that comes to mind is Jesus Christ, I need to lose weight. So I don't even pay attention to my performance. I just pay attention
Uh,
to the Voldemort I have on the back of my head and the extremely large stomach.
Yeah. But you said something is when a joke doesn't work, like you try it, then you try it in 3 months, then you scrap it. So you mean like you don't even go back to it, or?
No, no. If it wasn't funny, then it needs work. And if you try it again in a couple of shows and it's still not funny, that means it was not funny to start with, and you need to find another joke.
Oh, because for me is what I do is if I just find another angle. You don't do that, yeah?
No.
Ah, okay. Maybe.
well, yeah, I get it. Like for me, it was about like watching because I record everything, like all my performances, video, audio, and then I rewatch them and all this. But before, when I started doing, I had like a friend because same with like Tawfeek, what you said, like I dislike how I look. Plus the idea of like you dislike the cliche thing of people don't not liking their own voice.
Yeah.
And I remember what I used to do is I had a comedy buddy. He was always in the audience, and after the
Mhm.
show, I would just tell him, destroy my performance. Like, yeah, tell me. Because like before watching, I used him to kind of edit myself,
Mm-hmm.
and then we would work on a bit that's not working. And about scrapping, this is something that again, one comedian told me, Ivan Yavitz, he was like, don't effing scrap anything. Yeah, yeah, that guy was, oh my God. Omar knows the story. There was a show that I did, and I was translating my jokes to Russian. They were, I disliked them so much, and I wanted him to translate with me, like to help me with the translation. And you know what his reaction was to the jokes in Russian? Yeah, literally, this is shit. This is shit. This is shit. This is shit. Why are you doing comedy? Go work as a
I
table.
I do I used to do that with Joe when he first started.
No.
Joe kept showing me his jokes, kept telling me his jokes, and I kept telling him that you're not finding the right tempo
Uh,
for your jokes. And he took it well. He took it really well. And then when he started performing, I was happy to see him on stage.
oh yeah,
Yeah, but then again, some of his jokes are a bit too much even for my taste.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
something similar Abid used to do when I like was also first starting comedy. And I didn't know he was trying to be serious. When I would tell him a joke where it didn't have a punchline or something funny, he would always say, "Where should people laugh?" And I always thought, "Oh, he's shitting." on me. When in reality, he was just saying, no, no, like if you're an audience member, where would you want people to laugh? Like underline it and see if it works or not.
Yeah,
It took me a while to understand that. Yeah, but
that could be a good approach. Yeah.
It's also something like from a comedian who told me like again it's like not only he was underlining, he was like what the hell are you doing, just go work like as a shisha. Like that's it. Don't do comedy, man. This is like that guy was very harsh on me, which I'm very thankful for, you
Good,
know.
good. I think we all need like a harsh
Yeah,
mentor kind of person to really push us to the limits that we know that we are capable of.
yeah. Oh man, Omar, when there's something which was very funny about Omar when he first started. Sorry, Omar, I'm gonna say this. He was also like a script guy,
yeah.
yeah. And the whole time, I just told him like I remember one thing because also this is in Russia. Tawfeek, the problem with beginning Russian comedians too, amateur slash medium level, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody can tell the same jokes. You know,
Okay.
there's no personality of the person in them. It's just someone reading from a script.
Mm.
And I remember there was once with Omar, I told him like anybody can tell your jokes, you know, and that's where you need to like no, this is. And then Omar took like the approach of I'm gonna make sure nobody. If you tell my jokes, you're gonna go to prison. That's what I'm gonna
Yeah.
do.
That is a healthy approach.
Yeah, it's a bad approach because now when I host shows, I realize I don't have material that's suitable for for hosting. Like I remember I was doing like a Christmas special show, and I was doing a joke about how people should have more etiquette when killing themselves, and the lady goes,
Okay.
it's not really Christmassy." Like I was talking about like how I hate people who kill themselves in public and like they ruin the traffic and stuff like that. And she goes, "That's not Christmassy." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I don't know what Christmas is supposed to be like." And it was just like, and now I'm doing the opposite again, which is like, "Hey, girlfriends are weird." Yeah, it's such
oh,
a.
oh, this is so
I
funny.
I, I kind of now feel like I'm a different comedian hosting versus performing because when I'm performing, I'm like, I don't care if they hate me. Like, okay, it's fine. But if they hate me as a host, I feel like they hate all the comedians. Like, I it was like one of the first days of
Hmm.
Ramadan. I didn't get much sleep. I didn't have time to break my fast, and I was tired, and I did what I wanted to do, and nobody laughed. Like, it was like a 1 hour half show of nobody laughing, and then I was like, okay, well nobody's laughing, so then the comedians were sucking. So then when the comedians were talking, I was like, okay, and I just went all out. I'm like, I would introduce the comedian on a purposefully bad joke, and it was just like, deal with it. I don't know what to do, and it was just like,
Okay, sorry. Tell us.
Wasn't going to
Ah,
say
okay.
anything.
oh
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like, since you also like know a lot of Jordanian comedians, because from what I understood, the right now the well-known Jordanian comedians also started like in this in the Amman Comedy Club thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know them. What I don't want you to tell us about them, like as a person. Sorry, like as them, but did you notice something in them, like the famous ones? Yeah.
Hmm.
Did they change? Are they the same, like in their dealings with you, with like other comedians? How did that see that? One another question, a follow-up question, sorry, would be how did the Jordanian comedy scene become what it is now? Because now I think it's going well, right?
Yeah, it's going really well. Like the Jordanian comedy scene has definitely evolved the past couple of years from being, you know, a couple of people that perform in Qatar and we watch their videos here because they work for AJ Plus. And some of the comedians, I think, like for example, the first time I saw Abdullah Sbeh in in during our practice,
Yeah.
and during the comedy course, because Abdullah Sbeh and I graduated from the same batch. I believe that this man was created to do stand-up comedy.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Abdullah Sabeh is charismatic. He's very charismatic on stage. He is funny. His the way he delivers his joke is very funny. And there are also other people in the Jordanian comedy scene that I really enjoy their content, like Yusuf Batayne. Yusuf
Yeah.
Batayne is fearless.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, like if I wanted to compare Yusuf Batayne to a famous comedian, I would say that if Yusuf gets the opportunity to travel outside of Jordan and do comedy in like the US, he can be the new Andrew Schultz.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Yusuf can be the new Andrew Schultz. He is that good. He is that confident when he is on stage. And who else? You've got Kamal Silos. Kamal
Hmm.
is pretty funny on stage as well. You've got people like Aboud Mamdouh, who is a Egyptian living in Jordan, who's taken the Jordanian dialect, and he uses that so well on stage, and he presents it in a very funny manner.
Uh,
He's brilliant in that. There's also who else?
how did their character change? Like
Look,
after,
I think that everybody will be everybody changes when when like you become
yeah,
when you start getting people's attention, and people
Mm-hmm.
start to like tell you like, oh, we love watching you. It everybody will it will get to your head at some point,
yeah,
and people do change, but to me, no, there's not much different change between how we talk to each other. They're still my friends. They're still people I support, people I root for. I love their shows. I'm very proud of them
mm,
for getting this far in the comedy scene. And like I wish them the best of luck.
yeah. But and how did sorry, Omar,
No,
ask your question.
I had a question because what from what Abed told me is the big comedians they don't go to open mics and they have their own shows. And my idea is like, how do they work on material? Is it like they just go to their big shows and put the new stuff in the middle, or like, or, or
Okay.
or do you not know? Maybe I don't know.
I think I can let you know because they because they're a group altogether. These big comedians in Jordan, they all
Mm-hmm.
work together. They talk to each other a lot. So I think that they do their comedy with each other. They present to each other their jokes like
Mm-hmm.
in a closed space in a closed community. I think that's what they do. But
Yeah,
they still at some points that you will still see them do open mic nights. You will still see them test their materials on audiences,
Mm-hmm.
because again it's different on what kind of material you will use in a bar or a cafe, and
yeah,
the material you're going to use on stage is completely different.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is something why. Well, before that, and how did the Jordanian comedy scene evolve for the last like before COVID, through COVID, and till now? How did you see this evolving, and where is it going?
Okay, so other than the members of Amman Comedy Club and anybody who's graduated from Amman Comedy Club, I completely believe in their skill set and what they're capable of doing. We had amazing people that really showed promise in comedy, but they never they never saw it through. They never like
No,
put the effort into becoming more,
yeah,
or
Mm-hmm.
taking that risk of
yeah,
performing on stage, etc.
mm,
um the how the Jordanian public took over. Okay, so to better give you an example of how stand-up comedy got introduced to Jordanians, it happened in, I think it was 2010, 2009. It's one of those 2 years where a group of comedians in, well, not really, they weren't comedians back then.
Hmm.
They were a group of people working for a MCN agency, which is like a social media agency, so events and stuff. These people started thinking about what we would do if we were let's go on stage, for example, and try to make people, or let's make videos in which there's a stand-up material, but
Hmm.
I'm doing a video and I'm posting it on YouTube, and these people were really funny. You've got like people like Nicholas Khouri. He
Yeah.
started off that way. You've got Rawsan Halak. She started off that way. You've got somebody that I keep forgetting his name.
There's,
Uh,
there's also, I think, maybe Rose and her husband also, if I'm not
yes,
mistaken.
Faisal was one of
Yeah.
them. Rajai Qawas was one of them.
Yeah.
Um, So at that point in time, that the comedy scene in Jordan was booming because we had Kharabish doing these
Yes.
videos, and then Ru'ya came up with the 1 hour comedy special
Hmm.
on their on TV,
Yeah.
Hmm.
so that people can come and watch. People can watch a 1 hour comedy special during Ramadan. And back then we had these four shows that were peak. They were peak comedy in Jordan. It was female. It was Fog Sada. It was
Hmm.
Beth Bayacha. And
Yeah.
there was another thing. I think it was Sunia fi Amman, something like that.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, these four shows were peak Jordanian comedy. To me, right now, the things that are coming up on Ru'ya are horrible. They're not funny. They're not this is something that the dean of the American college in Beirut talked about. He said that we as Arabs, we have so much talent for people who want to act, but we don't have writers.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, so all these people, they can act, they can do comedy. Yes, they can. But we don't have people to write comedy in a good and funny way that we can project, which is one of the reasons why when they launched SNL in Arabic in from Egypt, that was a very successful project, and I don't never understood why they stopped doing it. It was good. It was so promising to have Saturday Night Live in Arabic being done in Egypt, where they bring comedians from Jordan, from Syria, from Lebanon, from Kuwait, from Dubai, from Saudi Arabia, from all over like the Arabic world, and bring them together to perform comedy in Egypt. And it
Yeah.
started off really well,
But it
but
stopped. Yeah.
but it tanked, and I never really understood why it tanked or why they stopped doing it.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, one thing is why I'm saying this to Omar. What I said is because we so it's interesting in Russia for a lot of the comedians they grew up through the open mics, you know, and in open mics, of course, in Russia the comedy scene you could say it's like 20 years old almost, but the open mic idea blew up maybe like 15 years ago, started like growing until the last 10 years. And the thing is, the famous comedians now, they all went through the open mics. What I like to call, they all ate shit.
Mm,
You know, you can like you can see. And the thing is that, for example, in Russia, me and Omar, we perform in English a lot. Yeah, and we would ask comedians, and literally, like I have, we have, sorry, the like a list of comedians. We have their contacts, the famous ones. You know, the ones you will need to contact through a manager. And they were
yeah.
like, no, you don't need to contact me through a manager. Here's my number directly.
Hmm.
Yeah, just send me. And if I'm available, I'll come to the show. To the point where we were having shows in a small bar. That's the bar where you could say English stand-up started.
Hmm.
And randomly, these comedians would show up. You know, they know that on a Saturday at 8 p.m. there's a comedy show. There's a stand-up comedy show. They would show up out of nowhere and they would test their jokes in English. Yeah,
Okay.
out of nowhere. And we got like their contacts. And so like when we have a show, we would text them, hey man, do you have here, we want to do 5, 10, 15 minutes. Would you like to come on the show? And they would, I am telling you, it's either so their answer is two answers. I can't because I'm touring, or because I have a show. And the second one is yes, I'll be there. You know,
Mhm.
in Jordan, when we tried this, of course, this is like fairly new. I'll be honest, like it's fairly new, like since December. Me
Mm-hmm.
and Joe Hindi, when we would contact them, and I understand why. The answer would be maybe, and then either no answer or rejection.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and this is like for me, what happened is like this thing is uh, like in Russia, some of them, of course, not everybody, because they're famous, they're afraid for their face, let's say, like so that like a famous face might jokes bomb, or this will hurt my reputation. But a lot of them didn't care because they're already testing. They
yeah.
understand. Oh, I'm just testing jokes, and they test the jokes that they already told they don't care about.
Mhm.
In Jordan now, I'm talking not still because this is filming. What I got, the feel that I got was no, no, no. You basically you guys want to use me for my face. And when we talked to a few comedians, I said to the guys who were calling, I told them, tell them I don't want your face. I just want you as a secret guest. This is
Mm-hmm.
it. Like out of nowhere, you just try your jokes, and okay, thank you so much. If you like it, you don't, you don't. But what I got is this idea of I am famous enough that I cannot come on the show. You know, this is just like for me what the difference is.
I can understand what you're talking about. Like I do believe that yes, there are some comedians in Jordan that would do that and that would say that. But then again, I like to give them the benefit of the doubt
Yeah,
because in Jordan, it's not easy to do comedy. It's not easy to build an audience. A lot of people are extremely opinionated, and they will talk about you. They will tell you off in your
yeah,
comments and on social media and to your face on
yeah,
stage. You know, and it's absolutely justified for them to
yeah.
to do that and say that because it is very different. Like
Mhm,
for example, I got one of my friends in the US. Her name is Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Laura is a fantastic comedian. When we brought her here, she did a stand-up comedy in the underground club I told you about, Abed, and she was really she's hilarious. She's funny, and I had no problem hosting that show, and the comedians that I got that day had no problem being an opening act for Laura. Okay, because we were all still learning, you know.
yeah.
And some of these comedians that you know right now that are very famous were doing the underground with me
Hmm.
back then. Yeah.
Hmm.
So again, it's a matter of pride.
Yeah.
He's proud of where he's reached. I can understand that. You know, but I always say that it's very important for you to remember where you started from.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like one of the why I'm saying because I was watching once. I keep on repeating this story of Bill Burr when he was doing like let's say it's what we can call a closed mic, like a show, a private, like a closed mic. Yeah. So
Hmm.
he
Hmm.
had a host. He was the headliner. Yeah, but there were other acts, and in the middle of the show, uh, enter Louis C.K. and he just comes in. He goes, "Can I try like 5 or 10 minutes?" He asks the host. He doesn't like go like, "Hey, this is my spot." He comes and asks the host, "Can I do like 5 10 minutes?" And after Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, and after Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Yeah,
the
yeah. But, again, don't
yeah,
don't compare. Don't compare
yeah,
uh, these comedians to those comedians because they're very different. They're very very different. If I would tell you that, do we have a Dave Chappelle in Jordan or somebody that has the same skill set as Dave Chappelle? Hell no,
Mm-hmm.
hell no. We have somebody that can be the next David Schultz. Yes,
yeah,
we have somebody that can be the next Chris Rock, which is Abdullah Sabeh. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We have somebody that can be the next Jim Carrey. I'm not going to say his
mhm,
name because I'm going to inflate his ego even more. we've got a lot of people that show promise, but in this region, in doing stand up in Arabic in the Middle East, it's not going to be easy for them to get a broader audience, like
Mm.
worldwide. There's a lot of Arabs everywhere, you know. But like again, Abed, I'm going to Abed and Omar. I'm going to ask you this question.
Uh-huh.
You've got two shows on a Saturday. You can either go watch an up and coming comedian, or you can go and watch Bill Burr. Who are you going to go watch?
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
this is a given. But like my whole idea about it is the idea of I have like for them is this idea of pride. It was just went out of the window. Same, and let's say from my experience with the Russian comedians, it literally just goes out of the window. They really don't care. Like for them, yeah, some comedians were like, I don't want to like embarrass myself. So what they do is they train on their jokes, and then
Yeah.
they go, okay, Abed, I'm ready. I even like used to get messages directly from them, go, yo man, when's the next show? I want to come and test 10 minutes. And
Hmm.
that's like my whole thing is what I was very interested in is how uh, they they didn't care. Uh, One, it's not that they didn't care. They were too humble. You cannot like know that these guys are like famous or whatever. They didn't care. They just literally would come in. I'll give you an example. There was one day I was hosting a show. This was in 2000, I think 17, 18. I was hosting a show in a shitty bar, small bar. We had like 30 people, thank God. And out of nowhere comes three comedians, Tawfeek. Those three comedians are not only television comedians, they're superstars. They're the Kif, how's Abdullah Sbeh or Batani. You just put their face on a poster, a room of 250 people fills like in an instant.
Hmm.
They come out of nowhere, and I didn't know them. And they just come to me, tell me, yo, man, can I do like 5 minutes? And I was like, yeah, sure. What's your name? So they tell me their name, and I introduce this comedian. And how the room blew up out of nowhere. They were like, "What the hell are these guys here?" Yeah. So they didn't. This idea of them, they just wanted to test material. Yeah, they understood. Oh, I just want to test material. There was no pride in it. There was nothing in it. There was no. I'm very famous. Glorify me.
Hmm.
And I really hope that in Jordan it's not the same. I really hope that. But from the vibe that I got from, again, not all of them, just one or two, because I met Abdullah Sbeh, I met Yusuf Bataina and Sef Zaghmouri. Yeah. And for me, let's say because I interacted with Abdullah Sbeh and Yusuf Bataina, I really liked their interaction. I didn't feel any, I'm a higher level till now, to be honest, because like it was a brief exchange. And I really hope that in Jordan, it's well till now that I got is like it's still not the same. Of course, it's different from the culture, it's different from the experience
Yeah.
of how much they went. Yeah, Omar.
No, I had a question. But my idea is, because you were talking about those famous comedians, and my question is, how hard is it to let's say, make it in Jordan? Like, is it hard to get your special on TV or something like that?
So I think that none of these guys so far have a special, even though I believe that at least three of them deserve to have a special by now.
Yeah,
Because I believe in their skill set. I've seen them. I've seen how they interact with the audience. I believe that these people deserve to have specials. You know.
Hmm.
Oh, no! Wait. No. Yes. There are six comedians in Jordan that had specials on OSN.
Hmm.
Yeah,
okay.
these six, yes, they are funny. They had good material, good things that they performed, good things that they brought to the table. Um, but it's more of a region itself, you know. Like if for example, if Netflix doesn't pay attention to you, you're not gonna gain like worldwide popularity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
That's for
uh,
sure.
one other thing. How do you see new talent performing? Like, would there be a chance for new talent to emerge at the moment?
There's always a chance.
Hmm. But how would they have that chance? Let's say.
So it's more of trusting the process and being patient.
Uh-huh.
You know, be
Yeah.
patient, trust the process, build yourself. You know, when you build yourself, you start to gain the attention of these important individuals in the comedy scene, and these people can help you get the show you want to do, get the people that you want to do, get the exposure that you're looking for. You know, that stuff.
Yeah. One thing also I notice is Instagram is a vital part, I think, of this. Yeah.
Social media, and this is where my other job comes into play, because I do social media marketing and digital marketing. Social media is a tool that I believe that every entertainer should uh, like
Interact with.
capitalize on. No, not just interact with, capitalize on, because you've got so many streaming platforms now. A lot of people making so much money through streaming. You've got Twitch, you've got YouTube Live, you've got Deezer, you've got so much, you've got all of these online podcasts, people making tons of money from them. And all of these things, they didn't happen overnight. You know, they didn't gain their popularity overnight. They didn't um, they didn't really, burst into fame in one
Yeah.
night. No. Like, for example, I know for a fact that Andrew Schultz was recommended to me by one of my friends. He's like, "Have you heard of Andrew Schultz?" And I'm like, "No, who is
Hmm.
Andrew Schultz?" And I gave him a shot. I watched the special, and the guy is hilarious. He's the king of crowd work. I've never
Yeah.
seen anybody do crowd work the way Andrew Schultz does.
Do you know? Do you
And
know how he got there? There is an amazing thing about him doing crowd work, which I really liked. So he in open mics or like in like the mics that he performed in or he's headlining, he would get out of the room until he's called because he wanted to come in on a fresh experience of the audience. So he didn't want to know who the audience are. He would discover for himself.
yeah, yeah.
That is
That's
something amazing.
that is a very good approach to
Yeah,
handling audience. And
Hmm.
believe me, handling audience in Jordan is something very important that you need to learn how to
yeah.
do, because you know what happened last time during one of our shows.
Oh wait, what happened? I don't know.
So we were doing improv comedy, and I was asking, we were playing New Choice,
Uh
which
huh.
is a game where I think you already know New Choice.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
uh 1 second, guys.
Okay, take your time.
For people who don't know, well, for the one person who's watching and who's liking, which is me, New Choice is an improv game. The improviser says something and you keep on New Choice, and they keep on changing their punchlines,
New choice.
basically. Yes. They keep on sticking to the punchline as hard as they can because pride is an amazing thing. Yeah. So that's basically
Yep.
it.
Yeah. So, and we were doing this bit, and I asked him, and this guy, he is religious, so he's not comfortable in performing in a bar.
Okay.
And
A
I
comedian,
asked
yeah.
him, yeah, a comedian, and I
Uh-huh.
asked him, it's like, how do you feel being here in a bar and performing for all these people? And he's like, yes, I love performing for all of you heathens.
Okay.
And this lady took it really rough.
Okay. Ah, okay. That's was like the whole thing. Like, did she do something about it or no?
She started heckling,
Okay.
and her heckling was more of a Karen style. You know,
Uh-huh.
like, I do what I want, and between me and my God, I know she was right to say that, but because you're here watching a comedy show,
Yeah.
so you can't really take
Take it,
that take it with a grain of salt, or take it with
Yeah.
a pound of salt.
Mm-hmm.
Relax.
she took it personally on herself. It's the same when someone asked me why don't I
Yeah,
pray.
yeah.
I was like, listen, man, it's between me and God and all that stuff.
Exactly, exactly. And it happens more times than you know. Like, one of the shows that the guys were doing, I was handling the ushers. Like, I was the event manager that day.
Uh-huh.
And they called me, and they have like these three guys that are sitting in the front row, and they are being extremely disruptive.
Yeah.
and I just came in and started watching them. And when they got to the point where they were extremely annoying and they were getting in the way of the show and how the show is being portrayed and how the show is being accepted by the people, I didn't like that. And I just straight up went to them and told them, "You need to leave now."
Oh, so
Yeah,
you
and
could keep on.
they did not take it well. They started like wanting to get into a fist fight, and at this point, I just from the back of the audience, I started yelling at them while the show was happening. I told them, you can either leave or I can make you leave."
Oh, and like, was it like just an open mic or like a
No, no,
proper?
it was a proper stage performance.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
wow,
and I kicked them out.
nice.
Yeah. So hecklers are something that we need to deal with. We need to understand how to deal with. Um,
You should have Omar on your shows. Omar, the people already leave. Stand
Yeah,
up and
yeah.
leave
Like
afterwards.
no, I remember like one time I got into like trouble with a comedian. Like I was doing a joke about how I can never be raped. Like that was the premise of the joke. And like before, I was doing like some uh, Hitler stuff, pedophilia, and literally two hijabi girls stand up and leave. And like I made a joke out of it. I'm like, oh, finally they left. I can pull out the religion jokes. Like I got the crowd back to my side. But one of the comedians who thought he was like the organizer of the whole thing goes, "Man, you shouldn't be doing that." And I wanted to tell him like, "What do you want me to be?" I wrote I sent the message. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna be a hack like you." And then I deleted it. Unfortunately, too shy to send it. I'm like, "What do you want me to do?" Like I know the joke works. It's not my fault that well even Abed jumped in. He goes, they chose to get offended. Like it's their problem. And I was saying like people were laughing. And yeah, to this day, me and this guy never the resolved the problem. But yeah,
It's
it's
amazing.
it's normal. It's really normal. It's really normal. Again, because you perform for people,
yeah,
and you have a certain style that not everybody likes. Okay, but if you're doing this and you have people that are watching you and laughing at your jokes, you're fine. And you don't need like these white knights to jump in and be like, "Oh, you can't say that. You can't do that, man. This is 2025." And at this point, Omar, just go and use your knowledge, like use being well read. For example,
hmm
you can say like, you want to tell this to me because I'm a small or medium comedian. Okay, congratulations to you. Go say that to Dave Chappelle. Go say that to Andrew Schultz. Go and watch any of George Carlin's stand up. Okay, George
yeah,
Carlin, if you dare to heckle in a George Carlin show, he used to tear people a new asshole.
yeah. That's actually what I kind of do now. Again, I'm not George Carlin, obviously, but like when people heckle, I just tell them shut the fuck up, or like I you shit on them basically, and they usually don't talk. But actually, like same thing. Like when I got into the argument with a comedian, I'm like, okay, if you want me to change my jokes, I'm ready to change my jokes. If you tell this, I like I had a name of a guy. He performs with us. He's not like well, he's somewhat known in Russia, like Vasily Medvedev. And I told him if you tell him not to joke about the stuff he jokes about, then I'll stop. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if I sent that to him or just thought of it or told it to him to his face, but I remember
yeah,
like
yeah, and that is absolutely fine. You can say that because in reality, you are here to watch a comedy show. If you're gonna be offended, then you don't belong here.
yeah,
That's
it's a good rule that not everyone follows, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah,
good. If it's listen, man. If people follow it, we won't have politics, to be honest. Anyways, yeah, shut Allah. Just to give you a perspective of Vasily Medvedev, he's for me, him and another comedian. I think for me, these are guys are the kings of comedy in Russia. You know, and I would love to see them like perform in English more, blah blah. But the thing that was for me amazing about him, Tawfeek, is I've never seen any comedian. any comedian who can literally split the audience in half on the laughter. His jokes, they get half of the audience, no matter how big the room. He gets half of the audience laughing, and the other half just literally just saying at his jokes. Disgusted by his jokes, and one half. And the whole time, I would be just, for me, like I'm a dick, okay? I would be in the back laughing at just the reaction of the audience. I've
Hmm.
literally never seen someone who does every joke he does is half laughs and half is like horrified about what they're hearing. you know, you know? Tawfeek, I think like we've been at this for quite a while,
Oh,
so that like
yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
one thing I want to ask you, like, because you like you wrote sketches, you wrote all this stuff. Did you have any not problems, anything you disliked there? Like, what did you like? What did you dislike? And did you have like sketches that you wrote that you think like this is amazing and it got rejected? And I don't want to tell you about, I don't want you to tell me about like the sketch, if whatever you want, but how did you feel at that time? What was your reaction and how did you handle it?
Okay, so at that time, um, I wrote a lot of sketches. I love writing sketches.
Yeah,
It's so much fun for me, you know.
yeah,
And doing these sketches as well is also the fun aspect that I really enjoy doing. And this is the part where I am very thankful to the people that trained me, who are Mu'in Masood and Yazan Abu Rus. These
yeah.
two people, they trained me to be a good
Hmm.
comedy writer, a good stand-up comedian, a good improv comedian. And Mu'in had this certain style of, because I'm very close to him, he would say, no, he would read my sketch and he's like, this is garbage, try again.
Uh-huh.
And I wouldn't take it personally. I would try again, you know?
Mm.
There are a lot of people that think they know better than you do, you know? And
Yeah.
this is something that you go through every day in your life. Like, for even your parents believe that they know better than you do.
Believe me, man,
Okay?
today I was recharging my phone and the guy who I bought the voucher from was selling me the other voucher. I don't know what I'm buying, but yeah, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. Yeah, these things are so normal, I swear.
Yeah.
Because again, you want to be this um you want to project your persona on stage and in the sketches that you do. Uh and there's a certain touch that you don't know how to add to these sketches that others do. So
Yeah.
for me, listen to what people tell you. If they
Hmm.
believe that this is not going to be a funny sketch, it's not going to be a funny sketch. For example, one of the sketches I wrote for someone, he did it on live TV and he got death threats from it.
Oops.
Yes.
You're like, let
And
me take out
we
my
thought
name from.
we thought it was hilarious when we were
Uh-huh.
writing it. We thought it was hilarious, but the people didn't.
Hmm.
What was it?
See,
What?
An overwhelmingly like negative response, or just like a few
an
negative response?
overwhelmingly negative response.
Is it possible to say what the sketch was about, like the premise?
I No, I can't.
Okay, okay.
I
Well,
can't.
That's very
All that I'm gonna say is that it had something to do with COVID
uh,
and how we handled COVID as a people.
yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
If
Anyways,
you if you do
uh,
this again, I'm gonna cough in your face. No, that's the way. Wait, I'm not finished with Tawfiq. Yes, piss off,
okay.
Omar.
No, no. I thought because you're the one who brought up the time. I wasn't even paying attention. So yeah. Anyways,
Like but like these sketches that were rejected, so you how you handled them is that you were very open to them, yeah? You were
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, okay, like the feedback and everything.
Yeah.
And
I accept and listen to people that give me feedback, because
uh,
I appreciate these people that are putting in time and wanting to see you reach higher and like climb higher, you know?
yeah, that's very cool of you because for me, I couldn't. I did like a show. You could say it's a television show in Russian, and we
Uh-huh.
had like a producer who would check the jokes,
Mm-hmm.
and he
Yeah.
told me like delete these jokes. And before I got on stage, like the day of the show, I went to the guys who you could say that you work with authors, yeah, and even the authors themselves, like they listen to the set and they tell you what to change, what, and all of this, so that it fits television format. And I told them, if I improvise, what will you guys do? And
Mm-hmm.
they told me like, we won't do anything. Like you do your set. So I did the jokes that they told me not to say because it really pissed me off that he was telling me that, because for me they're funny. You know, like one of the jokes, its core is so funny about me misreading Russian language.
Hmm.
Yeah. And in the video, you can see where I'm cut. And then like they switched to another joke.
Ah.
Yeah, you can like literally go like I do a punchline and there's a continuation, and then you can see it just pissed me off. But I think like in sketch form, that's a much like in stand-up for me, it's about freedom. But in sketch form, you're kind of constrained, if I may like say so, right? About these rules or whatever.
I would say that there are some constraints when you're doing sketch comedy. Yes, that's for sure. And you know, for example, you could write 10 sketches and nine of those sketches will not see the light of day. But
Yeah.
one
Mm-hmm.
of these sketches would be so good and funny, and everybody would appreciate what you're trying to do, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
Actually, I have a question. So I know that like improv, sketch, and stand-up are different. But let's say someone wants to do that, and they come and ask you like, "Oh, which form should I learn first?" Is there a one that you would recommend, or doesn't matter for you?
I think that some people can do stand up really well, but can't do improv. And some people can do improv really well, but can't do stand up.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are meant to be working in a team. Some people are meant to be a solo act. So it's
Uh-huh.
more of what you're more comfortable with. I say try both, or try all three, or
Mm-hmm.
try all four. You know,
Mm-hmm.
try doing stand up, try doing improv, try doing sketches, try doing satire. I love satire. It's my favorite kind of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I like it more than improv. You know, satire is so smart. It really needs this intelligent person working on it.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say like try all four of these things, and you will succeed in one of them. And the one
Yeah.
you succeed in, just go ahead, push it, take it to the limit, to like push forward.
What's for you was the, I don't want to say the hardest, the one that took more time, like takes more time, like thinking about it, like from, because improv you need to practice, stand up, trying writing, and sketches. I would think also the same, like writing. Which one of them for you? It's the one that takes time to like perfect, let's say,
Satire.
forceful satire.
Mm-hmm.
Satire.
Yeah.
Satire. Satire is because you want to make fun of the current situation that's happening around
Yeah.
you, and you need to be subtle. You can't really be in your face. You know,
Yes.
you
Yes.
have to be subtle about it,
Okay.
and it takes time.
Okay.
I
That's
actually one more question, Tawfeek, because you said you used to write sketches. Do you feel like all of your or most of your stand-up jokes can be sketches?
No,
Oh, like it's
no,
completely different.
it's two completely different things, and that's how I do it.
Ah,
uh-huh.
You know, because I have some funny stories that I
uh-huh.
do on stand up, and they're funny and relatable to a certain amount of people, but they're not going to be funny and relatable to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is interesting. So in sketch form slash stand up, because improv, like let's put it on the side, or satire. I think the target audience would be different for each one of them, or they're the same target audience.
They're different audiences. The
They're
people
different
who are,
audiences.
yeah, they're definitely a different audience, because some people are there and they understand what improv is. They know what to expect when they watch
Yeah.
it. And the people that are going to go see stand up
Mm-hmm.
are there to laugh, have a good time with the comedian, and leave.
Yeah.
But when you're doing improv, you as an audience member, you have to interact with the comedians, because if you
Yes.
don't interact with the comedians, the show's not going to be good.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what about sketch in this also? Because I would assume it has
Because
its own target audience.
Yeah,
uh,
sketches is it's completely different. Sketches can be interpreted in what kind of media you use to
Uh-huh.
promote these sketches. Like you could do sketches on stage, and then and right there and now and then that this sketch is good or this sketch is bad. On social
Yeah.
media, it's different. Yeah, like you can
Yeah.
have 10 million views on a sketch, but it's
Yes.
garbage.
On stand-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, this, what's very interesting about this? Why I asked, there's a comedian, one of my favorite like storytellers of all time, Christopher Titus. So in the beginning 2000s, he had a show called Titus. I don't know if you know it. It's first the first episode is called Dad is Dead. That's
Yeah.
the first episode.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, and when you watch his stand-up, it is actually sketch. Like so the sketch is taken from his stand-up. So if you watch the
Okay.
stand-up and then watch the show, you will see the jokes, in the sketch. This is very, very interesting. I would, yeah.
the reason why I ask is I feel like with Abed, he has a lot of jokes that I can see become a like has this joke about how like Arab moms, or I think Arab moms do like raise their kids. They don't like they raise their kids as something like on the side, so that they're cleaning, but they're also raising their kids, or doing something that's more
Yeah,
important.
but
And
it's the joke is like they're talk on the phone, iron the thing, how do you call it?
cook.
Iron, cook, and then with the leg raise a child. Like this is like the final idea of it,
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it has to be do the whole thing on stage, act out. Yeah,
And for me, like I think Abed has a lot of jokes that can be sketched. That's why I asked.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. You as an entertainer, as a comedian,
Mm-hmm.
you need to do your research.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You need to do your research because I can go up on stage right now and talk about being fat, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But I know for a fact that Ammar Najjar and Saif Zaghmouri have already done that a lot.
yeah, yeah.
And they've delivered it in in a better way. The only things that I can, but I go up on stage and talk about being fat in a completely different way and style from what Saif Zaghmouri and Ammar Najjar do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's good that you always watch comedians and try to see the angle in which you're going to approach the same subject that you're going to talk about, whether it's going to be on. And it's not just for stand up, by the way. You can watch sketch comedy sketches, watch Saturday Night Live, watch all of these, watch comedy content creators on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
uh the more you watch, the more you learn, the more you know what angle you're going to approach. Like, for example, one of my favorite people on the internet that do sketches, do animated sketches. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they're called what are they called? Flash Gits.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Flash Gits are a demented and fuck all group of people. They are demented. The things that they put out are so hilariously funny and so fucked up,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And they take the angle of these certain things, and they make it so funny, you know.
Okay.
And one other YouTube channel that if nobody knows about, I recommend that everybody, like, takes a look at this channel. It's called Team 4 Star.
Hmm.
Okay.
Team 4 Star created something called an abridged show. So an abridged show is a parody of a famous form of media, and they did a Dragon Ball Z abridged.
Oh.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
and it reached a point where it's better than the original.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I think I've heard of the Dragon Ball Z abridged one. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
might know. Yeah.
Everybody needs to watch Dragon Ball Z abridged. I think it is a lesson in how you can uh, write comedy be a better
Mhm.
comedian, uh, how to write jokes. Uh, it's really good to always look at other people, understand what they're doing, what kind of thing that they touched on that others have not touched on. You know, like Team Four Star are hilarious. They're very funny. They know what to do. They know how to make you laugh because they understand their audience. They've done their research.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Another person who does abridged shows is Little Kuribo.
Okay.
He does an abridged version of Yu-Gi-Oh, the card game.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and the way he does it is that he makes fun of the game itself because the game is ridiculous. And while not a lot of people like agree to that and agree that this game is ridiculous and
Mhm.
uh, it should be made fun of,
Mhm.
um, he took it to the next level.
Very interesting. I'm following. I know Flash gets because of the Akuma, the
Oh my
bomb
god,
Akuma.
that one was so funny.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah. Okay. Final question I want to ask you. It's not
Okay.
my question. It's one other podcast. I'm gonna, how do you call it? Get inspired from it.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
If I may say so. What would you like to be written on your comedy grave? Let's end this very grim.
So what would I like to have written on my headstone?
Yes, on your comedy headstone.
Okay, fuck.
Yeah, I
Um,
know, I know. It's just out of the. It's such an interesting question, to be honest, because like I heard this comedian. It's from the Comcom Pod. Yeah, we're promoting other podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Comcom Pod, yeah, comedian podcast by Stuart Goldsmith, and it's such an interesting question. When I first heard it, like 10 years, no, sorry, 8 years ago, I was like,
Mhm.
wow,
it
this is.
is a very
And you know what's so funny about it, Tawfeek? Like since
yeah.
you're like thinking, is I'm not joking. Every year, I think for me the answer changes.
I think I would say um I wouldn't like have a comedy something funny written on my headstone, to be
Uh-huh.
honest. I would probably have a quote from the Evil Dead movies.
Oh my
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
God. Well, that is
Yes, 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 because I think Ash is a brilliant character that needs to be revisited in our modern day and time.
you know what's now in my head is I know this is grim, but who cares? On your comedy headstone, there's gonna be like a small iPad screen with a sketch that you made just from the Evil Dead.
it's the same sketch, the COVID sketch that did
Yeah.
it. Why
Yeah,
did
that
he
covered.
die? He did that sketch.
I
Basically,
did
yeah.
that sketch exactly.
Oh, that is funny. What about you, Omar?
I'm trying to think. Uh,
He's gonna put us in prison.
no, mine would be maybe like come back maybe 3 days later, see if I'm up or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. Like
Yeah, I know it's an
not a
insane.
comedy. It's not a comedy sketch, but it's a joke that got me in trouble. So fuck it.
Yeah. Mine at the moment, well, not mine
Okay.
about a few years ago was even now, to be honest, it's I still have stage fright.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Anyways, Tawfiq, thank you so much. I hope we didn't take too much of your time. It
No,
was
no,
amazing.
this was fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Thank you. Yeah.
And by the
Uh-huh.
way, if we would like to invite you again, maybe with other comedians with us, just to do like
Yeah,
interaction, would
yeah.
you like? Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Maybe we can all write together because we did one episode last week
Yeah,
actually.
last
Abed
week
and
we
I
did
were.
just a writing
Yeah.
episode.
Sure, sure. We can do that.
Yeah. Okay. People. Yeah. Like, subscribe, follow everything. Everything is down in the description. Thank you, Tawfeek, for joining us today.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Thank you
Thank you
so
for
much,
having me.
everybody.
Have a good night.
Anytime, man. You, same to you. Night
Yeah,
night.
bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Right. Oh man. Wait, Rock, what rocks? He just
Oh, I think that's what he thought.